What's going on, fellow collectors? I know it's been a minute, and I'm sorry about that, but little personal things have been going on with my back and such things like that. I know this isn't the best place to do a video like this, but I'm out in my porch, and I just wanted to keep you guys up, so that was my cat. Well, the newest thing that I've purchased that I'm quite excited about, when I was younger, about 8-9 years old, there was a show that was out when I was a kid that I was a huge fan of. And as of recently, they've re-put out a new series of figures, and they're based off the original figures that came out, and they've added more to it. And I did open one already, so I wanted to make sure they were worth reviewing before I did another one or invested any more money and stuff like that. So, without further ado, these are the new MOTU figures that are based off the original series. I got myself He-Man first, of course, and they have really great articulation. Here's half the power sword. If anybody remembers the old comic books that were in with the figures, they did the whole thing with the power swords were represented as Skeletor had one, He-Man had the other. You put them together, that's how you were able to open Grayskull, was with the two swords put together. I remember the show, and that was not part of the show, so I needed to read the comic books again that came with the figures to figure out, okay, then that's the story. Well, my plan is to take the power sword and get it out of his back. I did not come prepared, but come on. Oh, you gotta be kidding me right now. Of course, because I'm on camera.
A few minutes later.
Alright, I got it. That was close. Alright, you'll see that the way they're making these now, real quick, is they're building them to have new articulation, like all new figures have, with, you know, there's articulation everywhere. I'll show you more in a second. But, if you pay attention, they give you half the power sword. You see the little clippies on the inside there and stuff? They give you only half of it. So in the comic book version, or when they originally came out, that was part of the story. I just completely forgot about it. So my plan is to take the other half of the power sword that comes with Skeletor, stick it together, paint it silver, cut off these little edges here, and I'm going to turn it into his power sword. I know it's affecting the figure, but I did already open it, and that's what I want to do, and they're my figures, so I'm going to do it. Now, one of the cool things that they have, besides all the articulation of the new figures, I will say this, is they also have the ability, if you want to stand them in their original, excuse me, in their original frozen form, where in the original figures, like only the hip sockets moved, the arm here moved at the shoulders, and then his head moved. And if you look at the detail of my He-Man, you'll see that it's based more off of the cartoon, but yet they still only give you half power sword like the originals. And if you notice, the way the back piece is, it's not locked in the way our old school is. It locks here, so that's pretty neat. So you're not having the extra excess stuff to deal with that isn't realistic to the figure. Now, my brother-in-law Chris brought up the shield was a little more detailed on the original He-Man, and once I looked it up, I agree, he was right. Kind of sits on like this, and so, I got He-Man to start with, fell in love with it, was like, yep, it's just like when I was a kid, and then some. So I was like, okay, I'm willing to invest in these figures. So, put He-Man up for a minute over here, and again, sorry about where I'm at. I'm out on my porch. I'm in the process of moving things around in the studio for season 3 to start, so we're trying to fix things around so we have a cool spot to do our reviews at and things. So we are in the process of trying to do some stuff. And like I said, I was hospitalized because my back went out, and that's enough of that. Now, the next figure that I purchased, which was a necessity to have the ultimate opponent for him, which is Skeletor. You gotta get Skeletor. If you got He-Man in your MOTU collection, how do you not have Skeletor? So, and they're reasonably priced. They're priced at like $15 a pop right now, which is reasonable right now in the figure realm. Most figures are at least 20 bucks nowadays, especially, you know. So I really think it's cool that Mattel is doing it at a price point which is realistic to us fellow collectors. You'll see the back here. One of the major things, the artwork and stuff is based off the original figures that came like this, except there's a shininess to some of it. Like if you look right here, I don't know if you can see it on camera as good, but you'll see that there's like a shininess that they put like to make the figure itself pop out a little bit more, or the characters on the boxes and stuff to pop out. So without further ado, I'm going to open this bad boy. Kind of excited. And if you guys are paying attention to initially what I said, you'll know why I'm so excited. And of course, once I make my power sword, I will make sure to show you what I did. So, take the box off. Just, you know, hardback, glued on. So, first thing, each one now comes with, I don't know, maybe you can comment down below. I don't know if these were the original ones, if they just upgraded the print on these or what, but they still do come with one comic book, so did He-Man. So it'll be fun to sit back and continue the story, reading it, if that's the way this works. I hope so. But the artwork is now upgraded a little bit better. You'll see that the artwork is, I don't remember what the original artwork was. I don't have any of the original comics. So like I said, any of you fellow collectors want to comment down below if this was how the original like comic was and they just upgraded the artwork. I don't know. I really don't remember. But I was a huge, huge fan of these figures in the TV show. And to be honest with you, leading up to doing this review, I went back and started rewatching some of the old TV show cartoon episodes, and I enjoyed it. I still had fun. The original ones came out in, I think it was 82, and then the show came on in 83, and then that's when they started to kind of change things up. I do remember the packages being like this. I remember that they came this way. So, he comes with his power staff. Put it this way so I don't scratch him. He comes with his power staff and the other half of the sword, which the other half of the sword was supposed to be how you're able to open Grayskull to go in. But once you got to the TV show, that was not at all what it was, and I mean, you still need the sword to have the jaw bridge open. That's right, I said jaw. If anybody that remembers the show, it's not a drawbridge, it's a jaw bridge. And I had to rewind twice to make sure I heard it correctly. First off, here's his version of the power sword. It's purple. Anybody that remembers, that is legitimately what the sword looked like. Now, take these two together, snap them in like this, and it builds the one power sword. And you'll notice it has these little edges, which are for the figure to keep it in their hand, but nowadays the grips on these figures are so tight, there's no reason for that. So what I plan on doing is, I'm going to cut this little piece off here, and I'm going to repaint the whole thing a really cool chrome, bright, shiny silver, and glue it together and have it as his one power sword. So, is it kind of affecting the figure? Yes, but it's open. They're mine. I don't care. Now, another thing I'm excited to see is the detail of his magic staff. Forgive me, I'm trying to figure out where the camera is. I'm a little off today. Sorry. So, you'll see the detail on this thing is really, really cool. I was hoping that they'd do good in the details, and yes, Sorry about that. My camera shut off. So I get for having too much stuff in it. So, here's that power staff. I'm outside of my porch, so I keep hearing cars drive by. So, let's see if I can get this thing out real fast.
A few minutes later.
In case you're wondering, no, I wasn't. So, there's this. Now I gotta take him out, which he's in with the now always with most figures, the little pieces of like a clear rubber band they keep everything in with. That should get him right out, and it did. Alright. Take that off. Ooh. First person to pull his limbs around so he's a little snug. Ooh. Now, another thing that has become a little unknown about these figures, which you couldn't do in the past, but has made them a little bit more popular for collectibles who are getting, or collectors, I'm sorry, who are getting them as their collectibles, is they are able to pull apart, like in each edge, each piece where they connect, they like come out extremely easily. So if you wanted to mix and match and kind of build your own figures, you could. And the WWE version of these does the same thing. It's got great range of what he can do, where everybody knows who grew up around my time and not so much. They're actually not easy to maneuver around because they were stuck in their positions. They only had movement in the shoulder and, like I said, in the hip socket. Now they got them like crazy everywhere. His back is put together old school with the little locks in places and stuff, which it's all good, because what else is neat is it's separate from He-Man. My only problem is that with his back set up the way it is, he doesn't fit the power sword anywhere in him anyway. So you'll see here, he's got great range. Here, like, every area that you'd want the figure to move, moves. And you can also place them and set them up to where they're in the original, like, positioning. So if you didn't want one that has the articulation, that's what I was looking for, the articulation of a new figure, you can actually set them up to be old school. You can actually place them in their old school positions and have them in that, like, cheesy crouching position they initially came with. But I have to assume that with the range of articulation that they have now, you're able to set them easier in vehicles and whatever. So it just will make it easier. He doesn't really have much range in his hip area. But other than that, he's got it in his ankles, back and forth, up and down, twisty, the wrist, elbow, shoulders, waist, head. So it's got good range of motion. Now, let's see here. There's a little power staff in his hand. And there you go. There he is. Not much to it, you know. It's not much to it. But for anybody who grew up on them, it's way more than we had when we were growing up. I like his ability to stand straight up and down, which is really cool. So he can stand. He's got his little pokey feet like he had before. So these are really cool. They, you know, the little Andy and me, who was about 8 years old when the show came out, I just, you know, the price point was reasonable for me. So I don't know if I'll be collecting the whole series. I gotta tell everybody that now. I don't, you know, I don't always have to be a collect them all type collector. So, but I did need these two so I could build the power sword like I wanted to. And you gotta have He-Man's opponent. So now if they were to come out with the Panthro, something like that, is his, the old purple panther. So here they are. They're great figures. And I did make one other purchase. So check out for that one as well. Which my other purchase that I got, it's the neighbor. The other purchase that I got was Battle Cat. So watch for that review coming next. And don't forget, we still have an October review coming with the Castlevania figures I got. I did not forget about that. So this month will be interesting. See you guys around. Thank you for this quick review. Hope you enjoyed it. And keep on collecting.